consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this sin like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had to lock in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Though my old self, he got deported. Shout out to the king and I'm finna take
Let's get it.
Good afternoon, evening, wherever you might be. I'm your host, SchuZ, and today we've got a loaded episode. We got a special guest, Kam Jones. He'll be joining me in just a few minutes, but before we get into that, and a lot of sports topics which will be touched up on following the interview with Kam, I always want to make sure that we point out today, obviously today is 9/11, and I do want to make sure that we don't forget about the tragedy that occurred on that day 20 plus years ago today. So I just want to make sure that everyone takes time to remember those, be with those that have been impacted. Just never forget the tragedy and the lives lost on that day. But I do want to pivot right into talking about today's verse of the day, as we always get into. And today's verse of the day is John chapter 14, verse 27, which reads this: "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." That's today's verse of the day, and I want to touch upon it a little bit more because ultimately we know that in today's world and today with today's occurrences being 9/11, a lot of people probably are not at peace today. And generally, not even speaking about 9/11, but generally speaking just about all the different things going on in our lives, peace is hard to come by in today's world. The fact of the matter is that there is a gift from God, which is peace, that is far greater than anything we'll ever receive or get in this world. And so we cannot allow our hearts to get troubled and do not be afraid. Now, it's hard to say that we're not going to do that because we are human. We are going to fall into that. We're going to have troubled hearts. We're going to be afraid at times. But we do know that the peace of God is far greater than any of these things and that he'll be with us through it all. So that is today's verse of the day. John chapter 14, verse 27, once again, is "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." So that's today's verse of the day. Once again, John chapter 14, verse 27. And so I mentioned, though, heading into the beginning of that was that there's a lot of stuff to get into today. The first NFL weekend is in the books. Lots of NBA stuff going down. The World Cup's finished up. The U.S. Open is wrapped up. We have baseball stuff. We have women's college basketball stuff to get into. All kinds of stuff we're going to get into throughout this show today. But like I mentioned, we do have a very special guest that will be joining me on the other side of this break. So I'm going to go on a quick break right now, and I'll make sure to get Kam in here, and then we'll get right to the show. I'll see you guys soon. God bless. if you were to have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're the guy for a whole season, 82-game season, how much do you think you're averaging?
Ball in my hand, 25, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. 25, no doubt, easy. And that's just me knowing my ability and knowing what I can bring every night. Because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, because I see like the little stats on Twitter, some games, they be like, when Cam Jones plays this certain amount of minutes, he averages 30, or he plays, this amount of games with this amount of minutes, he averages 25. So I feel like if I have the ability to play with the ball in my hand, make the decisions, all that stuff, I feel like I can average 25 points a game easy, no doubt.
There is a funny aspect about you, and that's the fact that I don't think you necessarily even tried to, but there's been countless times in your brief NBA career already that you've made it viral. You've made memes of yourself, whatever it might be. One of
Yeah,
which was in the midst of that 40-point streak. You obviously broke LeBron's record, and you made your comment saying about, well, I'm not really a
yeah,
LeBron guy, I'm a Kobe guy. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think
yeah,
you even
yeah.
intended that to go viral. Now you have that.
Nah, not at all.
There's your Steve Nash moment during the summer league. We know that aspect. I think that was after the second year. You had a
hmm
fine, obviously, at one point. You have your branding that you've now done. When you
hmm
look at all these, like, do you ever intend to expect something to go viral or be funny, or does you just end up happening, and then by the time you get back on your phone, you're like, oh, this already just went down, dang.
Bro, that's crazy. No, not at all. No, because even with my brand, like when a random person asks me, because random people always see like, oh, he's so serious, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, bro, and then I say it all the time, like I say it no matter what, and I
Mm-hmm.
said it at one time and it blew up, and I was just like, I mean, I said it, I've been saying it every time, like somebody asks me that, so
Mm-hmm.
that blew up. And then the Kobe thing, I was just being honest. I mean, it's no disrespect to LeBron. Obviously, I love
Yeah.
love looking at LeBron playing stuff like that. He's done a lot for the game and stuff. But it's just me being a fan of basketball, me growing up with Kobe. Just my love for Kobe is like unmatched. So really that part. So really everything I say, I'm just like, I mean, I'm not really intending to go viral. I'm just speaking what's on my mind at that point. So if it goes viral, it goes viral.
Which one of the things that's happened so far, maybe even one that I've not listed yet, was the most surprising to you? Like, by the time you got on your phone, maybe even someone else came and told you about it, where you're like, dang, that really went viral?
The branding,
Mm-hmm.
my brand. Honestly, I was never expecting that to go viral because I always said it. I always said the same thing, no matter what somebody asked me. That I always said it, and that went viral before. And then that one particular day, I woke up, and then the very next day, or a few hours later, I don't really remember because we was playing Philly when I said it. We was playing Philly, and then when I said it, it took off, and I was like, oh man, I was not expecting that at all.
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this thing like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had the luck in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Doing my old self, he got deported. Shout out to the king and I'm finna take it.
As I mentioned heading into the break, I have a very special guest that's about ready to be joining me. He's the leading returning scorer on a team that's most likely going to head into the season as a top 5 ranked team in the entire country. He's a bucket getter. He's been a guy that I've had on before when he committed to Marquette, and I'm excited to be able to welcome Kam Jones onto the show. Kam, appreciate taking time for coming on today, man.
Appreciate you for having me, bro. Nice to see you again.
Absolutely, man. So I just talked about this upcoming season for you guys, and last year was a very successful year. You guys were a number 2 seed, Big East champions. You guys had an incredible season, but I feel like there's a different vibe heading into the year now. Now there's a lot of expectations for you guys. You guys are a team that people see could easily potentially be the national champion at the end of the season. How does it feel as you just kind of looking at the team, thinking about the upcoming season, knowing that you guys legitimately have a chance and expectation as well to be a team that could potentially win the national championship this year?
I mean, that just adds confidence to it.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that you're that good, knowing that you have a team that's that good, a coach that's that good, you know, a system that's that good to where, you know, teams can game plan for it. But, you know, at the end of the day, you still got to guard it.
No.
You know, that adds confidence to, you know, have that.
So when you guys are just talking with the guys, you and Tyler and Osa and the rest of the guys, do you guys kind of talk about this? Is there a certain different kind of level of expectation for you guys as a team now heading into the season?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we don't, you know, we're not the type of people or the type of team, you know, to, you know, try to ignore that. You know, we've talked about it many times, you know, starting in May when the freshmen, you know, arrived at campus, you know, expectations are much different at this time than they were a year ago. You know, coach has said that a lot to us, and, you know, we're fine with that. We were fine with what expectations were last year, and we're fine with where they are now. And we're going to go out with every game. We're going to play hard every game, and I like our chances.
I think things are a little bit different for yourself personally as well, because heading into last season, a lot of people looked at yourself and said, okay, he was a good role player for us, got some starts in there as a freshman. And then you obviously break out last season, lead the team in scoring, all conference selection. And you look at this upcoming season now, and there's obviously a high chance that you're going to be an all conference first team this year, potentially even player of the year, maybe even might be an all American type kind of guy. I mean, you're a guy that can obviously get buckets at a high level. And once again, you're the leading scorer heading into the season on a team that could be a top 5 team. How do you feel about yourself heading into the season now?
You know, like I said about the team, you know, I'm confident heading into the season. Knowing the off season I had, all the work I put in. You know, as far as my body goes, I feel like, you know, my body's in the best shape it's ever been in. I'm in the best shape of my life. So, you know, I'm confident in that. And, you know, I'm confident in God and, you know, what he has in store for me. And, you know, just keeping him in my life and keeping him first is always important.
I want to go a little bit deeper into that because obviously I'm a believer as well, man. I know you are. So take us to that a little bit. How big has he been in helping you get to where you're at today?
Man, you know, you can't really explain it with words. You know, you just feel it. You know, because, you know, none of this is possible without him. And, you know, you enjoy where you are with the humility of, you know, this can be taken away at any given moment. So, you know, I'm appreciative of, you know, the gift that I'm given. I'm appreciative of the opportunities that I'm given, you know, as far as to even work hard to get better. You know, those opportunities I don't take for granted. And, you know, I'm thankful for those. And, you know, that's made me the man that I am.
We obviously read throughout the Bible how difficult it can be at times to remain humble when things are going really well in life. It's a lot easier when you're down low to have to rely on God, but when you're obviously going through life and things are going overall pretty well, it can sometimes be hard to remain humble. So how have you remained humble throughout this time when you start becoming an all-commerce type guy, when you start getting the attention on you? How have you remained humble and true to God?
You know, man, definitely the people around me.
Yeah.
You know, I got, you know, my parents, you know, my coaches here, you know, they care about me as a human being. They care about everyone here as, you know, as human first. You know, we all here playing basketball, but, you know, we're human beings too. And I don't take that for granted because I don't think it's like that everywhere, and I'm appreciative of that. And so I'm blessed to have the right people around me, and my high school coach, Coach Willie. He's played a big factor in my life and my faith, and that's just everything. I think keeping him first, and he'll put the right people around you for sure.
Amen, man. Well, I want to go into some of those people around you because one of those is Coach Shaka Smart, and he is an incredible coach. We know he's already had a great track record throughout his career so far. And I know you guys seem pretty close. I know you even just made a statement a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, saying no other coach alive I'd rather play for. Take us through your guys' bond and your guys' relationship.
Like I said, I mean, the biggest thing to me is just it's real genuine. Uh, a lot of people can say it's genuine, and some people can even act it out, but
Yeah.
I think when you feel it and when it's real genuine, and he's a man. I can go to him at any time. I don't think anybody knows this, but last year around this time, honestly, my tonsils were getting real bad, and I couldn't sleep. It was days, and I couldn't sleep, and I actually dealt with that a lot during the season, and that was real detrimental to my sleep and how much I was practicing and stuff. I mean, not practicing, but like doing outside of like practice with myself, and just keeping my body right, making sure I could even like breathe and eat right, and it was real painful to do that, but. One night, man, it was like 3 a.m. though. I couldn't, like, the pain, bro. I just got up, and it's an emergency room not too far from my dorm at the time where I lived, and I got up at like 3 a.m. and went there, and but not even 3 a.m. It's probably like 12:30. We didn't leave until like 3 a.m. And like 30 minutes later, and coach lives like 30 minutes away from where we live, and he was there with me the whole time. Just pulled up, he got out of his bed, got left his wife. I'm sorry. And that meant a lot to me, and having him there talking to me that whole time, up when we knew we had to be up early in the morning the next day, and for him to, like I said, leave his wife and his family to come be with me in the hospital, and check with my family and my parents and telling them that I'm okay is, that I think that just goes to show the type of man that he is, and that's just that. That's why I said what I said.
So did you get the whole tonsil thing figured out then? Was it having to get them removed then, or?
Oh, yeah. So, and it got so bad. It kept happening. Like it happened a lot on road trips. I started to think maybe it was like something that had to do with the planes or something. It happened a lot on road trips and in road games. It would hurt real bad, man. I didn't want to drink water, or eat, or nothing, man. It was terrible. And honestly, during the season, like December, our trainer told me, he was like, man, look, you can either get them taken out right now and you out 3 weeks, or we can just do it. We can just try to deal with it until the end of the year and get them taken out. And, obviously I decided to, deal with it. And so obviously when the season ended, I got it taken out, man. That was probably the worst thing I've ever been through as far as pain goes in my life. And I just got my wisdom teeth removed like 2 weeks ago. So, man, I just been going through it with all that this whole season. But, I'm good now, so.
All right, so we go to Shaka Smart, and when we originally had our very first interview, and it was a pre-commitment interview before you officially announced it, you didn't commit to Shaka at that point in time. It was still Coach Wojo, and you ended up going there, and that was a pretty good class and all that. But then obviously he gets let go, Shaka comes in, and you decide to stay there. And in today's college basketball world, you're obviously would be more than okay to go and reopen your recruitment and go somewhere else, whatever the case might be. You decided to stay with Coach Shaka Smart, and obviously I think it's worked out perfectly. But at that point in time, I'm sure you had a lot of questions. Okay, what's God got in store for me? What's the right decision here? What originally made you say, you know what, I want to stay at Marquette, and I think Shaka Smart's going to be the coach that I want to play for?
The biggest thing that stuck out with me was the day he got the job. He called me, and he reached out like that same day, and obviously he knew what I was going through. Being a player committed signed under another coach actually.
Yeah.
And him reaching out and talking to him in a conversation we had, I'm like, I want to get to know him a little bit more, before I make that decision. And another thing was Stevie Mitchell. Me and him were committed or signed for about a year together. So that year we were talking through our whole senior year, pretty much every day or every other day. We were talking pretty often and keeping up with each other. And we was talking throughout that whole process. And we both talked and we both liked him and liked what he was about, and liked what he was giving to us. We both decided we'll stay with him. And, like you said, it worked out perfect.
Something that I do not think that Coach Shaka Smart gets enough respect for is how good he is at getting guys to the NBA level. Like, he's a great collegiate coach and all that, but his track record is incredible, especially more particularly with big men. But he's gotten players at all positions to the NBA. I don't think people talk about that enough because we look at your guys' roster. Obviously, OMP, he just went out there and he got drafted in the first round. I would be pretty shocked if you, Tyler Osa, don't get NBA opportunities after this season, maybe the year after, whatever. Like, he develops guys and gets them ready for that next level. Take us to that a little bit. Like, what's it just been like seeing the way that he's taken you guys and helped develop you guys into allowing you guys to have potentially an opportunity to play and make money while playing this game of basketball?
He just the type of he really is just a player's coach. He breathes confidence into you. He, especially me. When I score, he boosting my head up. Yeah, like when I score on the other team, he can't guard you. Stuff like that. That's the coach. I think any hooper would want to play for, and that's what leads to that improvement that you're talking about. Every year, obviously, roles increase. So just him, and he trusts us, and we know that he trusts us, and that plays a big role in it too. And that trust being so genuine that I know that if I try to go do something and I make a mistake, that my coach knows that I'm not trying to go out there and mess up or lose the game for us. So you understand it, and that's important.
When you were coming out of high school, you did end up getting ranked inside the top 100. So you end up coming in as essentially an unranked, according to some sources. Obviously, 24/7 has like 300 people that rank or whatnot. But to see where you're at today as a guy that if we go back and re-rank things, you probably would be ranked a lot higher than that. You for sure would be in the top 100. Did that provide any extra motivation for yourself heading into college?
I had a lot of motivation just coming up as a basketball player, just always being in that position, honestly. Being in that position where people, he's not bad, he can play, but they didn't think I was good, or I've pretty much been in that position my whole life, honestly, coming where I come from, and I don't say it like I've embraced it, obviously that's not where I don't think a human being would want to be, right? Sure. Just being like honest with being a human being, but that's just is what it is. And like I said, my high school coach, Coach Willie, man, we were in the gym, man, every day before school, after school. During school, we talking about basketball. During activity breaks, lunch, we watching film. We lifting after school. We going to the gym. Those times, I think that's what separated me, and that's what gave me the confidence to just go out there and play with the faith that I had.
Your Instagram name is Bucket Getter, and we know that you're capable of getting buckets at a high level. And so as long as I've known you, for as long as that's been, you've been getting buckets at a high level. All the time leading score at your high school, always were getting buckets there. Played at a high level in the AAU circuits, and you did your thing out there and got buckets, and now you've done the same thing at the collegiate level. Has that ability always been with you? Have you always been a guy that was capable of scoring at will, or when did that start coming to you?
Growing up, I honestly was just a shooter. That's pretty much all I was known for. I could just catch and shoot. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much all I could do. That's all. I mean, well, that's not all I could do. I feel like when I played, that's all I did. So, I would have gave myself, that reputation. But I would say around maybe like sixth grade, I started handling the ball a little bit more, and I started noticing I'm good around the rim. Like I'm good at finding ways, like finding angles, throwing people's timing off, finding ways to not get it blocked and not even having to jump high. I'm pretty good at that, and my dad noticed that too. So we just stayed in the gym. We worked on my handle a lot, and one thing me and my dad prided ourselves on was not turning the ball over. That's a big thing that I take pride on. Turnovers hurt my feelings. Every time I turn the ball over, it hurts, man. It feels like I'm letting my team down every time I turn it over. But just working on my handle then, and once I realized that with my shooting, I'm like, man, I could be pretty tough to guard if I just put it together, So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much how that happened, honestly.
Okay, so I gotta ask you about one part of your game because obviously I like watching a lot of you guys. I know a lot of guys on the team, and so I try watching a lot, but I don't watch all the games, obviously. But you guys, for yourself personally, when I looked at the stat, you attempted only 18 free throws all of last season, but you still led the team in scoring. You're still one of the most elite bucket getters in college basketball. That's pretty hard to do. A lot of guys that score a lot have about what 5, 6, 7 points per game at least that they're getting at the free throw line. Can you take us through that aspect of your game a little bit and how you've been able to score without necessarily getting to the free throw line consistently?
My coaches for 3 years, man, they've been preaching that to me. It can make the game a lot easier for me as far as what I'm saying, like just adding more points. That can
Yeah.
just easier way to score. Free throws makes it just a lot easier, which is true, 100% true. But I mean, it's just hard for me. In the moment, in the heat of the game, when I got the ball, I'm just thinking, put it in the rim. If I get fouled and while trying to do that happens. I'm not really trying to, go look for a foul. You feel what I'm saying? So
Sure.
that's I think that's the biggest thing for me, and we've been working on that a lot this off season. Finding or just thinking about ways, because I see ways, but like I said, I'm not thinking let me draw this foul, which is a way I improve on. I need to get better at that. That could help me a lot more. So I'm working on that a lot.
Do you feel personally that maybe you should have got to the free throw line more? I mean, you didn't shoot a free throw in 22 straight games last year. I'm sure that had to get at some point. You probably went through your mind like, shoot, I haven't been on this free throw line in a minute now. Did it ever go through your mind where you're like, okay, I think I should probably have got fouled a few more times. I should have been at the free throw line.
I never realized it until my coaches tell me.
Okay.
They tell me, I'm like, man, now that I think about it, I haven't shot a free throw. So when they tell me, I'm like, man, I do got to get to the line. I got to shoot free throws. Free throws aren't they're easier. They're an easy way to score.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get to the line, and like I said, I've been working on that a lot this year with my coaches, watching a lot of film and watching a lot of footwork and a lot of things like that.
Another thing that was a little bit surprising to me was last year during this past offseason, I thought you were a guy that could have made the NBA jump or at least put your name into consideration, gone through the NBA draft process, and potentially been a second-round pick or get a contract or something like that. And then you, Tyler, and Osa, I thought all three of you guys possibly could have been in that group. You guys decided to come back to school, not really even go through the process at all. What went into that decision?
Well, personally, I will say with me and my family, we're in no rush. Obviously, if something is there, like 100% clear, we'll know. And that's what my dad was telling me. And and if it's not there at the time and at the moment, that's fine. We're in no rush. Marquette, I'm grateful to be here and where I am today, and to have the relationships that I have and the people that I have in my life right now. And I'm enjoying where I'm at right now. So, I think that was the right decision for me. And as far as Oso and Tyler, I don't want to say it's the same thing for them, but my opinion, I don't think it was too far off. I think those two are like you're saying, very, very good players. Two of the best players in the country, obviously, and I'm sure a lot went into their decision as well.
So did you guys talk at all during that process? Because at the same time, I have to imagine that once you decide, I'm coming back to Marquette for at least one more year, and the other two did as well, you guys probably were looking at each other and saying, we got a chance to do something special now here this season. Did that ever go through your guys' thought process, just what you guys could possibly do now in this upcoming season if you guys did all come back?
Man, all the time, man. Just be honest. Like I said earlier, like we know who we have. We know how good we are.
Yeah.
And I'm appreciative of that. We're not the type of people or the team, to really ignore anything. We're going to embrace where we are, embrace who we are. And, I take pride in that, and I'm appreciative to be in a spot like this.
So let's emphasize and go a lot more into you guys as a backcourt. You guys do have one of the top ones. I think there's a few guys that are backcourts that we see at this point that kind of stand out. I think Michigan State has a nice backcourt. You guys do as well. USC's got a solid one. How special do you guys think that your backcourt of you, Tyler, Stevie, and the other guys can be this season?
Man, as special as they come, man. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
just got 3 dogs. Like you just named 3 dogs in that backcourt. That's we want to win, and we want to win bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what we've been through. Sharing the experiences that we shared for 3 years now. That just holds a place in our hearts that we don't take for granted. And even with the young guys coming in, just showing them how important the relationships are with the team and with the coaches, and seeing the freshmen and have their little things. Had a little talks they have about what they do. The same way we did when we were freshmen. It's pretty cool to see that, and it's cool to be like the vets and the unks of the team. Just teach the young ones the ropes.
So would you say you guys have the best backcourt in the country? And if so, at least who's some other guys you guys think might have other top backcourts in the country this year?
In the country or in the Big East?
We'll do the whole country. I think you guys are good enough to be in the whole discussion.
Right. Definitely in that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
From what I know from college basketball, as far as roster goes, I think UConn is bringing back a solid team. Well, backcourt. Creighton, I think Creighton is too. Name the Big East team. So let me see. Man, I really, you put me on the spot with that one. Yeah, my bad. Then, I'll probably have to get back to you on that one. My bad.
You're good. But if you guys look at your guys as a core group, though, you guys, especially the 3 guys that we know that's going to be starting out there, you, Tyler, Stevie, do you guys think you guys would easily be the best in the country, at least right up there?
Definitely. And I think that goes into why I'm so locked into us the way that I am. I couldn't even answer that question on the spot. It's a lot of great backcourts in the country. I'm not saying that. A lot of great backcourts in the country. But just the confidence that I have in the backcourt that I'm a part of, and the team that I'm a part of, and seeing the work that we put in every day. I like our chances, going against any backcourt, going against any team.
And what I think makes you guys special is that not only do you guys have the talent, I mean, obviously you guys have 2 guys that might be all-conference players. One of you two, you and Tyler, could be player of the year in the Big East. You guys also have Stevie, who's a great player. But I think you guys also have that experience, because we look at some guys, I mean, Kentucky, they have some great guys coming in as well. A lot of them are young. Antonio Reed's a guy that's veteran. But a lot of them have these young guys. You guys have been playing with each other for a couple of years now. You guys have gone through the ups and downs of seasons. You guys have gone to the tournament together already. How much better do you think that experience helps with you guys in terms of just how good you guys can be as a core group?
And that's a big part of it. That's a huge part of it. Knowing what happened in the locker room after that Michigan State game. The emotions that were flaring, and what was said, and just thinking about that, thinking about what happened that day, and that game, and even the year before that, that bad loss to UNC in the tournament, and losing to Creighton in the Big East tournament, and even that my freshman year, that we had a great stretch. I forgot the exact record. I can't remember, but Coach brought it up a lot. It was bad. We had a good stretch, and then in the end we had a bad stretch. It was like a good record for like 11 games and a bad record for like the last 11.
Yeah.
And we having those experiences helped us going into sophomore year. We had a good stretch, and we talked about my freshman year and what we didn't want to do. What we did my freshman year. So we built up on that, and that led to us winning the Big East title outright. And, we're using the Michigan State loss, as a big example. And we talked about that game, a lot, unfortunately, this year, and how it can help us. And, I'm grateful for that experience. Didn't want to lose, obviously. Put a lot of work in, wanted to win. But, it happened. Don't have any regrets. I'm grateful for that experience.
And I want to kind of go a little bit deeper into that aspect, because we all saw the video when you guys lost. Obviously, a lot of guys were emotional, and that's how a lot of teams are. And you guys always look at yourselves, and you guys all look at that locker room and say, okay, we have the potential obviously to go deeper in this. We have the team and talent to do so. And this upcoming year, you guys are in the position, as I mentioned, to potentially win a national championship, which is pretty rare for Marquette. They've won one all time. That was back in 1977. They only have 3 Final Fours in their entire history of the program, and they haven't made the Final Four since 2012. But you guys knowing that you guys have a chance to now come back and potentially set some new records, maybe win a national championship, make a Final Four type run. What's the expectation for this year as a team?
That's funny. We was talking about that today
Mm-hmm.
in the film room. We had a team film session and they talked about that. Just to be us, man. I don't want to give any expectations as far as, we're gonna win X and lose X.
Sure.
I think if we expect each other to play hard, I think we will play hard. And I think we'll play well, and I think that will lead to winning. And I think that's what we'll do. I think that's the formula Coach Smart and the whole staff has instilled in us. That's what we live by. That's what we want to do. We want to make history. We want to be talked about. When we're done playing, and we want to have something to show people when we're done playing, and to meet up and talk about the times we had. And we talk about that a lot.
When I was looking at your social media, you have a picture of Dwayne Wade, obviously the best all-time player from Marquette when we're talking about NBA career, college career. And you look at just having him there, and I'm not sure how much you guys have got to interact before, but what's your relationship with him, and have you got to talk to him any times, and what's the advice if you have got to talk to him that he's given you?
Oh, definitely. D-Wade, man, he's one of the most humble, people I've ever met. The humility he has is crazy. Just to see the genuine type of dude he is. The reasons he comes to Marquette, have been real powerful. He's giving money to the school, helping his sister. He helped his sister do something with books in Milwaukee, help Milwaukee get more books or classrooms. It was something like that was, real important and real big. And every time I talk to him, he's a funny guy. He cracks jokes. He's pretty funny. He's down to earth. Real chill. We talk basketball. He's giving me a lot of advice that I've taken into account, and I think about it a lot. And he's talked to our team a good amount. And just to have a player like that, like you said, I mean, he the best. Like you say, he's the best player to ever play at Marquette, and he's walking around like this. So that I think that speaks to us. So it ain't no way none of us should be walking around here with a big head. Who are we if he? You know what I'm saying? So that I think that helps us as a team as well, and to keep us in a good spot.
So, an elite moment that you've had was if we go to this past year in the NCAA tournament, you guys are playing Vermont, and you decided to go off and you score 18 straight points in that game. That's something that is very difficult to do, to say the least. But you take over and you guys go from a neck and neck, back and forth game with a really underrated type team in Vermont, and you blow open the game by yourself, scoring 18 straight. How were you able to do that, and what was going through your mind?
Man, it's funny. Before that, I'm usually I'm always a chill player. I'm poised. I'm a killer, but I'm poised. I'm always thinking the game 100% every possession. I remember I gave up a back cut, led to a foul or a layup or something, and it led into a media timeout. And like you said, it was a tight game, and just being in the huddle, I'm like, man, can't believe I just get that back cut up, man. I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking about it. Coach look at me like, hey, Cam, we good, man. We need you. Just be you. That's exactly what he said. He said, be you. And I just went back out on the court, and that just happened. And it didn't feel like 18. I didn't know it was 18 straight until the end of the game and in the interview. That was kind of crazy, and but that was a pretty cool experience, though, honestly.
So when they told you that it was 18 straight, what went through your mind?
So me and Stevie was getting interviewed after the game, and he was like, "What was it, 20 straight?" I was like, "Bro, no way, it was 20 straight." And then she said it was 18, and me and him kind of let out a little laugh, and that was pretty cool just to hear that. I was like, that's nice. That's pretty cool. I was grateful grateful to be able to do that and to experience that.
Another thing I want to ask you about is you take some wild shots sometimes, and I know some people and fans that sit back, they're like, "Why would a guy shoot some of those shots?" And you're a guy that guys that know how much you work. I know you practice some of those shots as well, and so you know what to do when you get in the game. But you shoot shots like I know it's in the end of the shot clock, but you shoot a near logo shot against UConn down the stretch, an important game where you guys are going back and forth to the top teams in the Big East and the whole country actually at that point in time. When you talk about some of these big shots you hit and some of these shots that a lot of people might even consider bad shots, walk us through your confidence of just knowing that there's pretty much limitless range in a certain sense for you when you're on that court.
I mean, you pretty much said it. I mean, it's not like I just go out there in the game and just throw it at the rim. These are shots that, I mean, I don't just spend hours and hours in the gym shooting from 50 feet, but
Sure.
I take time out to shoot deeper shots. Make a good amount of shots efficiently. So in the game, knowing that I'm confident. Let it fly in the shot. Like that one shot against UConn, I remember it was like a loose ball, and I ran to it. And I remember as I ran to it, I knew the shot clock was running down. I'm like, bro, I'm going to catch it, take a dribble, set my feet, just let it fly. I remember thinking that as I was running to the ball. And so I just grabbed it, took my dribble, shot it. And then, I mean, it felt great when it came off, honestly. So no, it didn't really surprise me when it went in, honestly.
All right, so a Marquette reporter, Ben Steele, made the statement in an article he wrote a little bit ago about you and David Joplin, who you guys are pretty much each other's number one haters. And I think that's a little interesting because usually you think with teammates, all right, if there's someone hating on another person in the locker room, there's probably some locker room issues going on there. But I feel like that's not the case between you two. So take us through your guys' relation. Like, how have you guys managed to be each other's number one haters, but still be cool and actually probably even close friends?
Right, man. John, my guy, man, for sure. The hate is pretty much all jokes.
Yeah.
We just mess around with each other. That was my roommate for 2 years, freshman, sophomore year. So those just spending that time with him, and especially freshman year, the conversations that we had about our roles on the team and what we were going to do, that brought us a lot closer. And
Sure.
we both just want to be great, man. Our roles on the team, we pretty much have the two biggest scoring roles on the team. We were just in Italy. Coach Smart, when we play scrimmages and off-season games, he likes to put a lot of different groups in, and not a lot of time though. He was like, it's like 2 minute 30 like group subs, and so me and Jop were in at 120, and I walked up to him. I was like, I bet I score more than you in this time we're in. And we both took that challenge on. That's just little stuff we do, but it's all love with Jop, man. That's my guy for sure.
Well, I got to go into that because you guys, as you just mentioned, just got back from Italy, I guess probably about a month or so now. But what was that experience in that trip like?
Man, I guess that was unexplainable, honestly. You just really had to be there. Man, just grateful. Blessed to, be able to travel there safely, get there, and to have the experiences that I shared with my team. And man, that was great. That was a lot of fun.
There is one big piece that ended up moving on to the NBA this past year, and that's OMP, who he's now at the Dallas Mavericks, first-round pick. And I know that's the one aspect that when we look at you guys' roster, obviously that's a big hole. You guys lose a guy that's probably one of your best defenders on the team in the country as well. How do you see you guys as the team filling in the void of losing him, and who do you see possibly even stepping up? Is it a collective group? Is it one guy you see that's really shining so far in the offseason that you think could possibly replace his role this year?
Definitely. As far as the team goes, that we know. Like we know Omash was a big piece of our team, offensively and defensively. He did a lot of great things for us. Congrats to him, man, 100%. Getting drafted, man, that's a lifelong dream. Man, accomplishing that, man. I don't know how that feels, but I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as a team, we came together and we know. And as far as individual players, Chase, he's embellishing, stepping up and, taking on the bigger role, jumping into freshman, sophomore year. So is Sean and BG. All those, the former or the last year's freshmen, they're taking on that role, and they're knowing what's expected. They're knowing what they have to do, and I think they're embracing that.
There also was another trip you went on with Tyler, just recently came out here to Arizona, and you guys got to go through the Formula Zero camp, and that's something that only a few guys get to do. 20 guys at the top high school guards, 20 of the top college guards get to come out, and you get to be around Damian Lillard, who is one of, if not the best point guard in the NBA today. What was that experience like?
Man, that was great. Very grateful to be out there. Thankful for Coach Phil and the opportunity that he gave me to go out there and be out there in Arizona for that weekend and sharing that experience. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. Even just from Dame personally. I had a few conversations with him. That itself was pretty cool. Just being there and learning from him and learning from the people that they brought in. Off the court as well, not even just on. That was a lot of fun.
What would you say is the biggest takeaway or thing that you learned from Damian Lillard?
Man, he's real intentional. He doesn't do more than what he has to, but he does what he has to. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that's really important, and that can lead to a lot of things in a career. So I think that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had. Just seeing, he didn't even really work out when we were there, but seeing just the little stuff he did and how intentional he was when he took his dribbles and his reps and different things like that really stuck out to me.
As far as NIL goes, you also had a pretty cool opportunity to go and be the difference NIL program, and that's about giving back to nonprofits. What has that whole experience been like for yourself?
Man, it's been great. Just going out. Just being a familiar face in the city, honestly. Meeting a lot of new people, a lot of good people, man, out here in Milwaukee, man. There's a lot of good people out here. Just making new relationships. That's been a lot of fun for me. That's been really big for me. And, I'm appreciative of BTD and, the experiences that I've been allowed to be a part of.
All right, so a couple more things before I let you go. One of which is, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but it's what's in your Instagram bio. And if I translate it correctly, it would be diligence in Japanese. And I'm not sure if that's right. That's what Google gave me. So take us through that a little bit. What exactly is that? Is that correct? And if so, why is that exactly in your bio? And what does that mean to you?
Well, I thought it was supposed to be hard work and dedication. Those are two words that I kind of pride myself on. I'm a big boxing fan. And growing up, I've been a boxing fan. Growing up, I've always liked Floyd, obviously. Those are two words he's always, hard work, dedication. And, I say those words a lot to myself when I'm working out. I often ask myself, you want to do what you want to do. You got goals, right? Well, this is what you got to do to get it. Hard work, dedication. And just saying those words to myself, just walking around my house, sometimes hard work, dedication, say that to myself, get motivated, just start doing push-ups for no reason. Just something like that. But those are, I think I might need to check that. If that's what it said. I thought it was hard work and dedication, but yeah, for sure. That's definitely what it's supposed to be.
You just said you go around sometimes you start doing push-ups for no reason. What's the craziest thing that you think you've caught yourself doing just randomly, whether it be push-ups and how many, or what's the craziest thing you've caught yourself just randomly doing at random points in life?
Just recently, it was mad humid in Italy. When Rome, when we first pulled up, it was mad humid. And I was hot on the bus already. Then we got outside and it was mad humid too. Then we went and ate and it was hot. I'm like, dog. So I just took my shirt off. And I don't remember why exactly, but I remember I just started doing push-ups. I don't remember why, but I remember that's probably the most wildest thing I done did recently, just for no reason in the middle of the streets of Rome.
All right, so you also said that you love boxing. Who's your favorite boxer right now then?
Right now, probably Spence. Go ahead. Earl Spence for sure. He's definitely my number one boxer. There's a lot of good boxers that I like to watch, man. I like Boots. Like Sean Porter. I like Bud. Bud's not one of my favorites, but I like him. I respect him. Two-time undisputed. Can't. What can you say to that? 40-0, one of the best. I like Charlo right now. I think he's about to beat Canelo. Those are just a few. I like a lot of good fighters. Tank, Steve, a lot of fighters I like.
Now I know it's a little mix-up, but we got the big fight coming up October 28th. Fury versus Francis. That's obviously gonna be an interesting matchup. Who you got though in that one?
Man, these MMA people never learn. I think they just do it for the money at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just different, man. Like you can't kick, knee, elbow. Like
Yeah.
it's just different, man. I don't think it's gonna be close at all.
So I'm guessing you're going Fury then?
Fury, man. It's not gonna be close at all.
Absolutely, man. Well, I got one last question I got for you, man. When you talk about this upcoming season, we talked about how good you guys as a team can be, how good yourself can be. But what exactly would that mean for yourself? Like, if you were to look at this and we talked in 1 year from now, what all do you want to see have happen for yourself personally as a team for it to be a year that you say, okay, this was successful. I accomplished everything I really wanted to this year?
With the faith that I have in God and how I live my life and how I want to live my life, if I do something and I don't have the regret of, I should have did this, I could have did that, or if I should have did like something like, if I don't have that regret, me personally, I'm okay with what happens. So that's how I'm going. That's how I'm going into everything in my life. Even like I failed, and I look at it as did I give it all I had? I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, I can't. That's all I can do. It wasn't enough this time. Now I got to get better. And I got to live with that. And that's I think just being raised that way and living just the way of living. I think as a human being, I think that is what makes me the type of man that I am.
So you said a lot of your goals then are more so as long as you got the mindset goals set up and you do those accomplishment wise, whatever else happens on the court and in and throughout life, you're going to be good with then?
Well, as far as goals, I definitely have goals. So like
Sure.
with the team, like winning for sure, definitely a national championship. 100%.
Yeah.
My fault. I kind of didn't answer that now that I think about it. But yeah, definitely national championship as a team, man.
Sure.
That's all we want. But we are where we are today. We're not thinking about the national championship right now.
Yeah.
Like we're not going around preaching national championship because we ain't gonna be able to get there without November 6th. You know what I'm saying? Or without we're not gonna be able to get there without today. We need to get better today first. So that's a big thing that we take pride in. And if we get better today, that builds on to us accomplishing our goals. And that's what helped us a lot win the Big East title. Even we were winning a lot of games in a row in the Big East. And someone asked, because we had DePaul, we were going to play DePaul, and someone asked me, like, how exciting does winning the Big East sound or something like that. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, we got like 10 Big East games left, don't it? And so I'm thinking, I'm like, man, we ain't going to, like, that would be great, obviously, but we can't do that without one locking in on this DePaul game we got coming up. That goes into that. And so we definitely want to win a natty and have those times and celebrations and experiences. But I think right now we're grateful to be where we are today.
Absolutely, man. Well, Cam, I appreciate you taking time to come on today. I can't wait to see what God's got in store for you throughout this next year, man. Keep doing your thing. Keep being the light, brother.
So appreciate you.
Of course, man. You always welcome on, man. God bless.
Hey, you too.
I appreciate everyone for tuning in today on this interview. Like I mentioned before the interview, we're going to get into the last segment following this break I go on, and we're going to get into a lot of different sports topics, NFL, college breakdown, all different type of stuff like that. But I'll catch you guys right after this break, and God bless you guys.
I'll see you later, bro.
From the moment I was born, a ball was in my hands and a deep passion for sports was ignited. My dream was to play the game for as long as possible, but God had other plans. After battling with severe illnesses caused by black mold poisoning for nearly 4 years, I made the difficult decision to let go of my on-court dreams heading into my junior year of high school. However, I was determined to have one last victorious moment as an athlete, and that was achieved on February 9th, 2019, when I ran a marathon at the age of 16. That night, as I took a recovery Epsom salt bath, I felt God place on my heart the idea to start a podcast. Although I didn't know where to begin, the first episode of SchuZ Views dropped on March 11th, 2019. Over the next 1,183 days, more than 600,000 people tuned into 1,056 interviews. Then, on June 6, 2022, my final interview for over a year was released, featuring Jameer Young. I never once thought that I'd be off the air for over a year, but the truth is there was something missing in me. At first, I thought creating a website would help fill that void, so I went and put together SchuZ.net, but nothing changed. Throughout the next month, I continued searching for answers, and eventually, God worked in the only way that would have gotten my attention at that point in time. Through something work-related. By the end of July 2022, my parents blessed me with the opportunity to build a studio. However, before breaking ground, the real change began. On August 3rd, 2022, my life changed forever. Once again, I happened to be taking a bath late into the night, and suddenly, an indescribable feeling came upon me. It was a profound urge to open up my Bible and read. I turned to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and since that night, not a single day has passed without me spending time in the Word. You see, what was missing all along was Jesus. On August 6th, my dad and I began to lay the foundation for the next chapter of my career. Simultaneously, the foundation of who I was created to be was also being laid. Over the years, I had lost sight of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I knew of God, but I didn't know Him, and I certainly was not following or living like Him. But day by day, the new me began to take shape. My former self's sole priority faded away, and I began to live out the acronym I often talked about, FJTFOE. It stands for First Jesus, then Family Over Everything. God became my everything, and He transformed me entirely. He helped me rediscover my love for family, running, lifting, playing basketball, giving back, the church, and most importantly, Him. This journey began with a craving to nourish my old identity, but God's hand was always in control, rapidly shaping my new identity. As God transformed me, He also grew my relationship with every member of my family. Together they stood by me and contributed to the person I am today. Through it all, Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 manifested its truth in my life. The blessings I received far exceeded anything I could have imagined. The truth is that God's hand has always been there, but now I'm committed to following His path. Although I may look different, and my heart has undergone a profound change, I am truly blessed to announce the beginning of a new chapter. Starting July 24th, I will be launching my new show, the SchuZ Show, which will air on my YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I can't wait for you guys to join me in this next chapter. I'll see you guys soon, and may God bless you all. There is a funny aspect about you, and that's the fact that I don't think you necessarily even tried to, but there's been countless times in your brief NBA career already that you've made it viral. You've made memes of yourself, whatever it might be. One of which was in the midst of that 40-point streak. You obviously broke LeBron's record, and you made your comment saying about, well, I'm not really a LeBron guy, I'm a Kobe guy. And I don't think you even intended that to go viral. Now you have that.
Nah, not at all.
There's your Steve Nash moment during the Summer League. We know that aspect. I think that was after the second year. You had a fun, obviously, at one point. You have your branding that you've now done. When you look at all these, like, do you ever intend to expect something to go viral or be funny, or does this just end up happening, and then by the time you get back on your phone, you're like, oh, this already just went down, dang.
Bro, that's crazy. No, not at all. No, because even with my brand, like, when a random person asks me, because you know, random people always see, like, oh, he's so serious, and I'm just like, bro. And then I say it all the time. Like, I say it no matter what. And I said it at one time and it blew up. And I was like, I mean, I said it, I've been saying it every time. Like, somebody asked me that. So then, you know, that blew up. And then the Kobe thing, I was just being honest. I mean, it's no disrespect to LeBron. Obviously, I love looking at LeBron playing stuff like that. You know, he's done a lot for the game and stuff. But it's just me being a fan of basketball, me growing up with Kobe. Just, you know, my love for Kobe is like unmatched. So, you know, really that part So really, everything I say, I'm just like, I mean, I'm not really intending to go viral. I'm just speaking what's on my mind at that point. So, if it goes viral, it goes viral.
Which one of the things that's happened so far, maybe even one that I've not listed yet, was the most surprising to you? Like by the time you got on your phone, maybe even someone else came and told you about it, where you're like, dang, that really went viral?
Uh, the branding,
Mm-hmm.
my brand. Honestly, I was never expecting to go viral because I always said it. I always said the same thing, no matter what somebody asked me. That I always said it, and that went viral before. And then that one particular day, I woke up, and then the very next day, or a few hours later, I don't really remember because we was playing Philly when I said it. We was playing Philly, and then when I said it, it took off, and I was like, oh man, I was not expecting that at all.
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this shit like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had to lock in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Doing my old self, he got deported. Shout to the king and I'm finna take it.
On to the SchuZ Show. We're now officially in the second hour of the show now. And I alluded to in the beginning of the show that there's so much stuff we gotta get into because I didn't have a show on Thursday. So we gotta touch up on stuff that happened throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even today. And the sports worlds are going crazy. We're getting to the time of year where sports are going crazy. We have all the sports coming together soon. NBA is going to get going in about a couple weeks now. Guys are going to get out of training camp pretty soon. Obviously, the World Cup just got finished up. We have baseball getting ready to go into playoff season. NFL is getting going. College football is getting going. College basketball will be back in a few more months. We got everything going on right now. So there's lots of stuff to get into. So I'm just going to go through some big headlines that's occurred over the past few days. And then we're going to get into some topics that I really want to dive into. So Headlines, the very first one. LSU women's basketball coach Kim Mulkey sets the record, 10-year, $32 million extension. Obviously just won a national championship this past season. Another one, I should say, this time the first one with LSU. One of the great program rebuilds we have seen in college women's basketball. 5-year, $275 million deal that includes $219.01 million guaranteed. It makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. Big props to him. His very first game following the extension, not so pretty, but we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But he is now the highest paid player in NFL history. And let me say this real quick. Of course, I think he is deserving of it. But once again, every time I want to make sure I emphasize this. Everybody wants to overreact. When a guy sets the new record for a contract, everyone flips out and says, oh, he's deserving this. Oh, he's not. He's not the best player in the NFL. No, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. He's the best quarterback. But guess what? It's not the way contracts work. Guys are always going to reset the market. The market has been reset 4 times this past offseason, just about 6 months. Very first, we had Jalen Hurts, we had Lamar Jackson, we had Justin Herbert, and now we have Joe Burrow. Guess what? A year from now, the market was likely going to be reset again. It is what it is. Deal with it, all right? So it's not that big of a deal. He is the highest paid, though, and it will be passed up again eventually. Next topic, Cooper Kupp. He is officially on IR. I talked about this a little bit ago when we had some flare-up news come out. He is now on IR. He will miss the next 3 weeks at least. Interesting news there. Unfortunately, he's one of the prime wide receivers we've got in all the NFL, and he's banged up once again. So we'll see what happens there. Now, we talked about some extensions that did get done, but how about some extensions that did not get done? We don't have Brian Burns. He did not get his extension done. Justin Jefferson, who I talked about deserves the highest paid contract in NFL history for a wide receiver, did not get his extension done. Now, he still has a couple more years, but still, he's deserving that deal should get done by next offseason. It should not be that complex of a deal. Outside of the fact, as I mentioned before, that he needs to destroy the market. He's right now in a lot of people's eyes the first or second best wide receiver in all of football. I think Tyreek Hill is the best right now, but Jett is not too far behind him whatsoever. But when we talk about a contract over the duration of the next 5 years, no doubt about that, Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver going forward. So he did not get his extension done. T. Higgins, another guy, did not get his extension done, nor did Mike Evans, who I talked about and had a segment on last week discussing potential trade candidates for him. Tampa Bay, they look good. Not too bad, I should say, at least. They get the W week 1. Baker Mayfield, not too bad. They're not a contender, though. Could they get some value from Mike Evans? Absolutely. I do not know what that package would look like or if that's even a possibility, but he did not get his extension done. Now, Grand Slam, U.S. Open wrapped up this past weekend. We have our champions for the women's side. Coco Gauff, she becomes the champion of the U.S. Open there. 19 years old, absolutely phenomenal. On the men's side, Novak Djokovic, he gets his 24th Grand Slam. And in honor number 24, everyone probably saw the video by now. He does a great tribute to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, him. That was an awesome tribute that he did on that end. And so we have a U.S. Open champions, but Novak Djokovic, 24 Grand Slams, absolutely phenomenal. It was overall a really entertaining event. I'm not going to lie, there were some parts that actually were very entertaining that I think a lot of people saw things between the Shelton thing and playing Djokovic winning it. Overall, just a great tournament this past week, I should say. Sean Strickland, he is the new middleweight champion. He won UFC 293 over Israel Adesanya. That was a fight that a lot of controversy has come from, both because of what Sean Strickland said following, during, leading up to the fight. He's obviously a very outspoken guy. He's the new champion, though. He's the middleweight champ. As for the style bender, did not look good whatsoever. Now lost 2 of his past 3 fights. His name is great. He is box office. He did not look good whatsoever in that fight, though. I know I'm not the only person that said that. I think everyone in the world saw that. Even Dana White came out and talked about that. Did not look good on his part. We also got some leaked information coming out about the Jonathan Taylor trade, to the Packers at least. Now, this one shocked me. I don't know why it was not talked about enough, probably actually because the NFL season was getting going. But early in the morning, we get some reports about what this trade looked like. I know we talked about it before. We knew Packers were in the mix for Jonathan Taylor. Well, we get to find out what they were wanting. They wanted Christian Watson. I am shocked by that. Not the fact of no disrespect to Christian Watson. Obviously, he's a great player. I see why Indianapolis wanted him. But the Packers would have had 3 running backs, all very, very talented running backs. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Jonathan Taylor. If I'm the Colts, I would not have mind getting me some A.J. Dillon. At least you get a replacement at running back. He's no Jonathan Taylor, don't get me wrong. But you could have added a draft pick, whatever. And that would have been cool. Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor could have been interesting. But from the Packers standpoint, of course not. Why the heck? We just talked about the reason that there's such controversy around this topic is because of the fact that we have running backs in the NFL today that do not have as much value as teams want to say they have. They're not getting paid. They don't get the trade value, all these different things. So why the heck would a team want 3 guys they invested either high asset in a draft pick, A.J. Dillon, Jonathan Taylor traded some legitimate assets for, and Aaron Jones, who you're paying a significant amount of money towards? Why would they have 3 dudes at running back on a team? That would make no sense for the Packers. They made the right decision there. Christian Watts, I think, is a solid wide receiver. Would have fit great with Indianapolis. I see why they wanted them. They need some help at wide receiver. Michael Pittman's nice. The rest of the guys, they're work in progress. So I wouldn't have minded seeing it. And now I know the Colts are now looking at potentially reopening this trade now as they get them off PUP list. So we'll see what ends up unfolding there with the Jonathan Taylor situation. But that whole Packers thing, of course, it made no sense. Why would a team want 3 running backs that are all high assets or drafted high or paying a lot of money towards? Breaking news this past morning. Kevin Porter Jr. has been arrested for assault. This gets a little interesting to me. Kevin Porter Jr. is on an interesting builded contract. The terms of his deal was that his first year was guaranteed for the most part. Everything else had no guarantees in it. It's very rare for an NBA contract, especially one of the amount of money and the valuable role that Kevin Porter Jr. plays, to have a situation where you have not guaranteed money on the back end of it. But because of his past history, and this history is quite long, I know a lot of people can bring back the time he threw food at his coach in Cleveland that ended up resulting in the trade, the holdouts, just countless stuff. I mean, this list could go on. I'm not going to list it all. But he was decently clean over the past year or so. Seemed like he was maybe getting himself together, was a solid player, averaged a decent amount of points, and was a solid player for Houston last year. He's now arrested for assault. And it's not a pretty one either. It appears that it was a public situation. Now, these are all allegations. I'm not sure what exactly happened. Let me make that very clear right now. But KPJ was arrested this morning in New York by the NYPD. And apparently this appears to have been a situation where he hit his girl or a girl. I do not know what the intimacy of the relationship was. He ended up hitting her, apparently even choking her. She went to the hospital with broken bones. And he's now arrested. As I alluded to, he does not have guarantees in his contract, so Houston is free to let him go. And the reason I think that was put into the contract was because of situations and nervousness regarding the situation. We go back to his USC days. He was a baller at USC. He was worthy of a first-round pick, if not higher, and he falls at the end of the first round, and there was a lot of questions of what could be happening here. Well, the reason for that was that there's a lot of things off the court that people were quite concerned about. We know the guy can play. He is an NBA talent. Do not get that mistaken there. But you can't have locker room issues. You cannot do things and get in trouble with the law, and you cannot do these things consistently. That's unfortunately what Kevin Porter Jr. has been doing, and so we are at crossroads right now. Obviously, as I said, this is all allegations at this point in time. I am not convicting him. I'm just saying based on his past history, and if this comes to be true, Kevin Porter Jr. might find himself out of the NBA this upcoming season and potentially going forward. He's a great player, but you cannot have this many mistakes if this is true. Next headline we had right before the show started. Chris Jones ends his holdout, and they just agreed to a 1-year deal. Let me explain this to you. Now, the financial aspect and the amount of money on this deal has not been released as of this point in time. Maybe it just got out recently, but at least when I was putting these notes together just a few minutes ago before I came on the show and started the segment up, there was no money being released in the Chris Jones situation yet. I'm confused by this, though. This is a deal from what I understand. Essentially, what we know is that he had the 1-year thing, the franchise tag, whatever it might have been. He needs to agree on 1-year deal. We saw it occur with Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs. Okay. This appears to be what he did, just this 1-year contract. He's a free agent after the season. Obviously, I do believe that there is a potential to franchise tag him one more time. I do not know what the money will be on that franchise tag, if that is what the Chiefs decide to do. But he has this 1-year deal, and it's highly incentivized. There's a lot more incentives involved in this deal. Okay, not too bad. Great for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, you get Chris Jones back. You get the leader of your defense. This is now, once again, my favorites to win the Super Bowl this season. Yeah, they lost the Detroit Lions in week 1. It's week 1. They didn't have the best weapon in all of NFL and Travis Kelce, nor did they have the second best defensive player in all the NFL behind Aaron Donald and Chris Jones. Those two guys are both back. I think they have a chance to repeat. They're my favorite to win again. So great for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I do think you should have locked him in long term because now it leaves another question. What could potentially come from this when we head into next offseason? Okay. Chris Jones, though. You held out all offseason and preseason and the first game of the NFL season. You wanted a long-term contract that was going to give you financial security and make you one of the highest paid defensive players in the NFL. And I defended that. I was all for that. I still would have defended that if he still continued to hold out because I think he is deserving of that contract. But we get to this point now, and remember, this man lost millions of dollars. I do not know the exact number. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's $3.5 million. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe it's about $3.5 million he lost between fines and his game check he would have earned had he played in game 1 against the Lions Thursday night. So he does not get that money now. So when now look at this, these incentives have to at least include and make up for that $3.5 million and the fines and the game check he lost in week 1. Just to break even. But if he was to agree to this has to be a deal that is involving much more money and security this season because you're at least going to have to look at more than 3.5, whether that be 5, 6, 7, 8 million more than what he's at right now. So it's a complex deal. I don't know exactly where this is going to end in terms of his exactly financial earnings he'll get this season, but it just confuses me a little bit. If you were going to go through all this work to hold out, which I respect and I agree with, why give in now? You're already held out one game and you're sitting in the suite of a stadium, and I was in full support of that. But now you just go for a 1-year deal. The financial security in case an injury occurs is gone. You don't get that. I get you want to play football, and I get that. Like, if that was your decision all along, then go play preseason, go do all your thing. Don't sit out the week 1 of the season. So it's a confusing situation that I quite frankly do not get on their part, but it is what it is. Kansas City Chiefs get their guy back. Huge W for Kansas City Chiefs and their fan base today because they are a team that I do believe has a chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions this season now. Other NFL news. I'm going to go down injury list that we have from this past week, and then I'm going to get into some topics about that. J.K. Dobbins towards Achilles. That sucks because J.K. Dobbins is the guy that I think is a very, very, very talented running back. We're talking about a guy that has been one of the top, if not the best, yards per carry running backs in the league for the past few years. But we have not going to see that production many, many times due to injuries. He's out again for the whole season towards Achilles, the very first game. And guess what? For whatever reason, the Baltimore Ravens once again seem to have this extensive injury list early in the season because he's not the only guy. Marcus Williams, he may not be out the whole season, though he's going to be out multiple games because he's also injured. On top of that, Tyler Linderbaum, he has an ankle sprain. Ronnie Staley, knee sprain. They're both week to week, might be missing multiple weeks. 2 core or offensive starters for that offensive line in Baltimore. Both gone, along with your running back, along with one of your top playmakers in the backfield of your defense. Man, these Ravens, man, they're a team that has so much talent. Winning a Super Bowl is something that would not surprise me or shock me one bit, but they cannot stay healthy. Although, let me say this. I've been saying this before, and I was so high on Zay Flowers. Man, I love that guy. He looks special. OBJ looks like he's going to be wide receiver 2 this year, and he looks just fine being in that role. Mark Andrews also, he didn't play week 1. Forgot that on the injury list. Hopefully he's back. He's going to add to that offense. The running back problem remains an issue, though. They got to get that figured out. I know Lamar can run, but you got to get those guys that can play. So we'll see what occurs with the running back situation there, the offensive line situation, but Ravens are still in a good spot overall. Other injuries, Cam Hayward, he's expected to miss multiple weeks because of a groin injury. Depletes a defense and hurts a defense that is very, very talented. One of the best defenses in all of the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know that defense did not look, and the whole team did not look too well. The defense actually wasn't too bad yesterday, but they got destroyed. Okay, we know what that is. Nakobe Dean for the Philadelphia Eagles, he is out a month due to a foot injury. Browns right tackle Jack Conklin, he tore his ACL and MCL, obviously being out for a season now. That's a big hole in the Cleveland Browns offensive line. And Peyton Turner, defensive player for the New Orleans Saints, he has turf toe surgery. Lots of injuries piling up. I'm sure there's probably been a few more that's come out and we got the diagnosis now for over the past few minutes I've been talking, but there were some big headline injuries. Those are all impactful ones that have now been announced. All right, let's go to some college football real quick before we head back into NFL. Here is our updated Week 2 AP Top 25. I'm going to give you guys my reaction right here, right now. Let's get right to it. Number 1, Georgia still, Michigan, Florida State. Texas jumps all the way up to number 4. USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Washington, Notre Dame, and Alabama round out your top 10. No problems with that per se. Alabama makes sense why they dropped them to 10. Fine with that. It is what it is. Not too bad at all, in my opinion. Overall, these rankings, they are what they are. Obviously can make debates, but it's still so early in the season that I really am not that high on or care that much about where rankings are because we're week 2. Things are going to change and things will even out. So it is what it is. You're still combating where you start off the season at and whatnot. So that's where we stand with this point. Colorado gets at number 18. Solid moving right there. But I must say this. The headline here is that if we look at this top 25, what part stands out to a lot of people? Well, I'll just get right to it. We know the SEC, okay, yes, they have had as many as 8 teams in the AP top 25. They've done that 21 times. They have the record with 10. No other conference has ever hit those numbers, though. No other conference has ever had 8 in a single week. And of course, no one has had 9 or 10 in a week. Well, what conference in there has got 8 teams this week? The Pac-12. And I don't think they're just put in there for no reason. No, those teams deserve it as well. But the funny thing is the Pac-12 is now, well, not now, but they're going to be done in what? 8 months from now? The Pac-12 will no longer be a conference anymore. You have got 2 schools that I don't know what they're still doing, what they're going to do in Washington State and Oregon State. But you have got 8 schools in the top 25. What a year and what a way to go out for the Pac-12. I must say that. I mean, you couldn't write the script any crazier and better because the Pac-12 has been dysfunctional as all get out over the past few years. They don't know what they're doing. The management is absolutely garbage. But hey, your final year, it all comes together finally, and you have this great conference, one of the best conferences for football you could possibly ever have in conference Pac-12 history. You have got 8 schools in the top 25. You have the biggest, most talked about program in the entire country right now. In Colorado, you have a program with a potential back-to-back Heisman generational quarterback in Caleb Williams out there at USC. Oregon has the guy in Bo Nix who has been playing college football for quite some time but is balling out. He's a Heisman candidate. Oregon State looks good. Everyone's just got talent. The conference is looking very, very nice. But this is the final year you're going to see the conference. So it is what it is. Interesting stuff there. Okay, the other news I got to go into. I'm not sure how deep I'm going to talk about this with because it's obviously an interesting situation. Those that want to read what I'm about to talk about, you can go read the information for yourself. But Mel Tucker has been suspended for a sexual harassment case. As I mentioned, the case and what occurred there is it's disturbing. It's interesting. Does not make much sense. I'll say from a moral standpoint, he's married, has kids. That's not a good look to begin with, at least from a moral Christian, at least from my standpoint. What he did is inappropriate and not right. The situation in terms of why the situation even occurred should not have been something that ever even crossed his mind to get into what he does. Like I said, I'm going to be brief. I'm not going to go into it, obviously, because this is a family program here. I'm not trying to get into the extent of what happened. So I'm trying to go around what all actually occurred there. But what I will say is that it's a very disturbing situation. And he has been suspended for sexual harassment case, Michigan State's head football coach. Odds are, I know we've had reports that he was already fired, and then they came back and said, no, they're going to wait to discuss and see what the results end up being and what the investigation unfolds. But the case and the fact of the matter is that what occurred there is not okay. It's not right. It should never have been done. It is a horrible example and a horrible way to lead men. And he came out today and he said it was consensual. Okay. I don't know how to get into that. You just don't do that. We've had enough experiences. Did we not hear about Ime Udoka just about a year ago? You can't do what you did there. So we'll see what ends up happening. If this is all a lie, made up, and did not occur, then he's free and let's not even look at all this stuff. Obviously, he'll be coaching again in the future if that is the case. But the fact that it came out and says consensual obviously means that it most likely did occur, and therefore it did occur. We know the facts. Now, whether it's legal and what's going to happen in that aspect, I do not know. So that's what's going on with Mel Tucker now. Okay. A big segment and a topic I want to get into today is breaking news that came out today. I'm going to read the exact reports that came out from ESPN sources and more specifically Woj that came out this morning. All right, this is the exact tweets. Going to quote from Woj right now. The NBA's competition committee has recommended stricter guidelines on resting players for national television games and multiple stars together in the same games. The league's board of governors expected to vote Wednesday to pass the measures. Under new rules, teams would be fined $100,000 for a first violation, $250,000 for a second violation, and $1 million more than the previous penalty for each additional violation. Sources tell ESPN. Quote unquote, Woj from ESPN. Okay. I like this. I like this a lot. We've talked about the impact of resting players in the NBA. Now, I get this is a very long NBA season. We go through this, and these players are going through a tough season. I think it's the hardest season to go through in sports. Here's why. Football is the hardest game to play game by game, on a game-by-game basis on your body. No disputing that. However, it's 16 games, or 17 games, my apologies, and if you play postseason, you can get up to 20. In an entire season. NBA is a very, very physical sport, very, very grueling on your body, and you play that 82 times plus the postseason if you so do play that. And some teams will be playing 83 if we have the tournament this year. That's not easy on your body. The traveling, the constant traveling, all this stuff. It is a very grueling season. So the fact of the matter is that these guys have been resting players. And I understand from an aspect of a team standpoint, okay, we can rest these guys. We'll take an L here. Maybe we even get lucky and get a win here. But we get our stars rested up to go play in a game that matters more and matters when we get to the postseason. Now, does this work all the time? No, not necessarily. But I get the point where these teams are coming from. But what we see happen here now is that Paul George, Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers. We know that's been a very controversial topic. They can't be resting both now. LeBron AD, same situation. And I'm not going to list everyone. The list goes on. Every single player and star is there. And I saw somewhere else that what we determine as a star is a guy that has been in the past 3 years an All-NBA selection or an All-Star. So therefore, that's what we're going to call as a star. It does not mean someone from before, whatever. If you're a former All-Star from 5 or 6 years ago, it does not matter. So it's a star that's been in the league or been an All-Star and All-NBA selection over the past 3 seasons. So what does that tell me? That means that the NBA is finally going to stricken up and get locked in on what exactly needs to occur here and eliminate guys from resting in these games. Now, there could still be rolling resting. If you look at the rules here, it needs to be multiple players, multiple star players. Therefore, one guy could be sitting out, one guy is still playing. But you can't be resting them both out on nationally televised games, which is good for the game. I think that has been a problem. It's a tough balance. Like I said, I feel on both sides. I get where these guys are coming from. The guys need some rest on their bodies. It is not easy. It's tough, and you really want to save that body up for when it matters in the postseason. But at the same point, we have people giving money, using their time. It's hurting the brand of basketball because star players are not playing. And we see guys like Anthony Edwards come out and say that he's never going to be in that situation. He does not want to be resting. We see a lot of different guys say that. And I'm all for that. Now, I know that when you get older, things change a little bit. So we'll see if Ant still has the same mindset in so many years. I do think he's the type of guy that will, though, so I'm not going to challenge that. But we will see what ends up unfolding there. But the fact of the matter is that there will be a much stricter guidelines now because teams are not going to want to pay millions of dollars to sit players out. It is what it is. You're not losing that type of money. So whatever ends up unfolding here, we'll see. This will be voted and approved upon on Wednesday. We'll see if it ends up actually occurring. However, the fact is that the NBA is tightening up on this measure, and the hope is that this is going to help the game grow and stop these players from consistently sitting out and resting games. We're going to see more star players playing on national televised games. When fans go to games, their star players should hopefully be playing more and more often now. And if you have an injury, that's obviously just different. They means the actual resting standpoint. So that has been a problem in the NBA. It has hurt the brand of basketball. I see both sides, but this hopefully is something that can change. Because if you can say, if you're the Clippers, I'm just going to use an example because they have been typically discussing this situation. You could have Kawhi sit out a game if Paul George is playing and vice versa. So we'll see how teams maneuver this. I'm sure teams will always find a way to get around the rule a little bit and figure out their own way to get it done. But we shall see. And also, ultimately, we also know the 65 rule, which means you have to play 65 games at least to qualify for an NBA all conference or all NBA selection for an MVP, defensive player of the year, et cetera, et cetera. You need to play at least 65 games. That rule has also been put into place because of the collective bargaining agreement that came into place this past offseason. So the NBA is clearly tightening up on this stance, and hopefully it pays dividends. Hopefully we see some change going on now, and at last we finally get to find out the proper balance for this and how the NBA is going to take care of this. So those are the big headlines I'm going to get into. There are a few more segments I'm going to talk about right after this break, but I'll see you guys in a few minutes, and God bless you guys. If you were to have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're the guy for a whole season, 82-game season, how much do you think you're averaging?
Ball in my hand, 25, no doubt. Easy. 25, no doubt, easy. And that's just me knowing my ability and knowing what I can bring every night. Because I feel like, because I see like the little stats on Twitter, some games, they be like, when Kam Jones plays this certain amount of minutes, he averages 30, or he plays, this amount of games with this amount of minutes, he averages 25. So I feel like if I have the ability to play with the ball in my hand, make the decisions, all that stuff, I feel like I can average 25 points a game easy, no doubt.
Staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this thing like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had the luck in the Lord. I knew that I'm staying consistent, I move with the clock. I'm in the zone, I'm not casting a stone. I'm finna stand on a rock, firm foundation. I got that dog in me, like 101 Dalmatian. I got girl with me, so I know that I'm still finna make it. I'm still finna take it. I hopped in the ring and I'm still going crazy. I cut off this thing like I just got a taper. I walk in the storm and then God gave me favor. I'm still going forward. I just had the luck in the Lord. I knew that I'm finna make it. Throwing my old self, he got deported. Shout out to the king and I'm finna take it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SchuZ Show. This is the final segment we're going to get into today before we wrap up this Monday episode of the SchuZ Show. All right, so there's going to be two topics we're going to get into before we wrap the show up. The very first one is this is a very special time of the year. We know after week one of any sport, it is the best time to go and overreact about every little thing. Week one is when many people decide that we're going to crown the MVP of that regular season. We're going to crown the champion of that season. We know who's winning Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. We know who's going to be the worst team and the best team. We know what rookies are going to be bust and which rookies are going to be superstars. We know which players' contracts were worthy of them and which ones were not. That is what a lot of people like to decide upon this very day every single year. We love looking at players and overreacting on week one. Now, does any of this stuff actually matter? Absolutely not. None of that is determined in week one, and we have no idea what will ever actually happen throughout the duration of the season based on 1 week. I don't think you can truly get a good grasp of a player or a team for that season at least until at least week 4. I like to say week 6, though. And in terms of a player's career, we don't see that depending on where you are. I like to say the 3-year rule. I think you need 3 years for really to determine if a player is a legit superstar, if he's just a good player, what he's going to be a bust or not. That's my theology on that. But hey, since we love to overreact, let's go make our big takeaways from week 1 of the NFL season. I know we have one more game to play that kicks off in what now? About 25 minutes with the New York Jets and Buffalo Bills. But we got some stuff to get into. Week 1, overreactions are topics today. Number 1, the Detroit Lions are legit. Not Super Bowl legit, I don't think, but they're going to win a game in the playoffs. I do believe they have capabilities of doing so. And on the other side of that, the Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, they're just fine. I just mentioned before the break, they got Chris Jones back. Kelsey's going to be just fine. They're still my favorite to repeat as champions this year in the Super Bowl. They'll be just fine. They lost by 1 point without the best weapon in all the NFL and Travis Kelce, with their wide receivers dropping about every dang ball that came their way, with the running game absolutely abysmal, and not having a defensive pass rusher that is debatably the best pass rusher in all the NFL on their side. They're going to be just fine. And like I said, that's against a team, the Detroit Lions, who are a very good team. Major props to Dan Campbell, not taking anything away from them. They have a legitimate roster. I'm saying the Kansas City Chiefs are still different. Browns and Bengals, my goodness gracious. A lot of people might come out and say, well, the Cincinnati Bengals, they don't look too swell. 24-3, and Deshaun Watson was not playing at his best and highest level either. Yeah, that was ugly. Joe Burrow was struggling. The team was struggling, but they're going to be just fine. I don't remember exactly the statistical data on this, but if I'm not mistaken, they looked pretty rough last year too to start the season, and they ended up having a pretty darn good year if you ask me. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh my goodness, the Cincinnati Bengals are done with. No, they're going to be just fine. In fact, they might still just win that division. But the Browns are interesting. You win 24-3 with Deshaun Watson playing a subpar, pretty decent game. Not too great, not too bad, but not too shabby for them. We talked about the Baltimore Ravens. Injuries are going to kill them. That sucks, but I think they're still going to be just fine this season. Justin Jefferson, my goodness gracious. Great game. But guess what? Whatever Justin Jefferson can do, I think Tyreek Hill can do just as good, if not better. At this point in time, I said before the break too, that I think Jettis is the best wide receiver of the future. I think he's the number 2 best wide receiver in the NFL right now. But in my opinion, Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in all of the NFL. And let me say why. A lot of people say Jettis got better route run. Jettis got this, that, and the third. But guess what? No, what Jettis don't got the speed that Tyreek Hill got. Tyreek Hill has a speed unlike any athlete that we have seen dominate at a sport outside of track stars like Usain Bolt. The fact of the matter is, I don't care what moves you can do, how you can get open, and your footwork, and whatever the case might be as a player, and how you decide to get open. The fact of the matter is that there is a chance that no matter what move you put on a guy, that a cornerback has a chance of staying with you. No cornerback has a chance of staying with Tyreek Hill. Ain't no way. He is going to outrun whoever you put at him. Double, triple coverage, whatever. It don't matter. He's going to outrun you. You can line up 10, 15 yards back. He's still going to outrun you somehow. He is unbelievable. And the way that Tua was playing yesterday showed us once again why I was wondering. So many people all of a sudden started hating on Tua this past offseason. Like they forgot what he was capable of doing, what he showed he was capable of doing in the beginning parts of last season prior to the concussions, injuries that started to pile up for him. That team was rolling, and guess what? They're going to be a very, very, very special team. Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Jalen Waddle is the best wide receiver, too, in the entire NFL. Tua looks like he's a legitimate top 10, if not higher quarterback. I do not have my rankings with me at this point in time, but he is a legit quarterback, and he outshone, and that team beat the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert didn't look too bad either, but Miami is a legitimate threat this season, and Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver in all the NFL. Let me make that clear. But the Buccaneers beat the Vikings. That's a little interesting. Then we head on out, and the 49ers absolutely run the Steelers out of the field, I should say. 49ers win 30-7 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh my goodness gracious, the Steelers look bad. 7 points is all they had. They only had rushed the ball 10 times the entire game, which you have a great running back in Najee Harris. You didn't get to utilize that too much there. You were throwing the ball. Kenny Pickett threw 48 times, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe more than that. I'm not sure. I think it was 48, though. And the defense was, I guess, all right. I think they have the talent to be one of the best defenses in all the NFL. But Patrick Peterson did not look very good. TJ Watt was phenomenal, like he always is. But the rest of that team struggled. The 49ers, though, let me say this. I mentioned that I think the 49ers have a legitimate chance to win a Super Bowl this year. I like them a lot. I think that they are a very, very, very talented team this season. They have all the pieces coming together, and you have a quarterback that's making under $1 million. Man, you can go pay those guys, and that's what they just did. Can we give some respect to Brandon Ayuk, though? I have said, and I know I haven't had the show and I haven't talked about this before publicly, but those that know me know I've loved Brandon Ayuk. He has not got the respect he deserves for the past couple of seasons. He is a stud. Brandon Ayuk can ball out, and the 49ers have this team of just wild weapons. You have a true legitimate potentially star wide receiver in Brandon Ayuk. You have a star tight end in George Kittle. You have Deebo Samuel, who is this guy that's capable of running the ball, receiving the ball. He does all kinds of stuff for you. He's just one of the best weapons in all of football. You have a running back in Christian McCaffrey, who is just one of the great weapons in football, an elite running back who is able to catch out of the backfield, go and do all these different things. He is more than talented. The offensive line looks good. Brock Purdy showed up and showed out. He showed that he is not just a one-year fluke. I think he's legitimate. Now, where do I put him? Top 10, top 15? I don't know about that yet, but he looks like a legitimate quarterback that can win a Super Bowl if given the opportunity to. So they look good. The defense is special as well. So they just destroy the Steelers 30-7. Jaguars and Colts go back and forth. I do think Anthony Richardson looks legit. The stories we've been hearing, my goodness, about the work ethic that he puts into this craft, the way that he stays in practices for many hours after, the way he's trying to be a guy that takes care of their fans. Much respect. I think Colts have their franchise quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Now they got to build around him the proper way, and they got to put the pieces together. I don't know how good they're going to be this year, but they have a legitimate quarterback now. Trevor Lawrence looked good, and the team looked great as well. They just got so many weapons, some rust to shake off, but not too bad at all. The Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson looks a little bit better, but they still get the L to the Raiders, who was the only team in the AFC West that won a game this week. Interesting. Didn't expect that to happen. So that's what goes down there. Ryan Tannehill looks actually absolutely abysmal. I don't know what the heck is going on in Tennessee. Malik Willis must be horrible. Levis must be horrible because he started the job out there. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. DeAndre Hopkins? Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, okay. That Barber was not the best move, but we're going to be 100% honest right now. The Tennessee Titans, I don't know what to say about them, but Derek Carr looked decent. They get the W in week 1. Eagles, 25-20 against the New England Patriots. Now, they came out flying. They came out playing like the Eagles that we saw go to the Super Bowl last year, and then they kind of collapsed. And the Patriots made it a game, but they still win 25-20. And they came out after the game they came out the game and they talked about the fact that they probably need to go out and play guys in the preseason more. I agree with that statement. I think we're going to see more and more teams keep going back to playing guys in the preseason, at least a few drives. They looked a little bit rusty, but the Eagles get the W in week 1. Rams somehow get 30-13 win over the Seahawks. That's a little bit surprising to me. Let's be honest here, and here's why. The LA Rams are a team that many thought, including myself, will not be very good this year. When you don't have Cooper Kupp, when you don't have a lot of these guys, Stafford looked banged up, but Stafford comes down to 334 yards. Cam Akers, 22 carries for 29 yards. That's a whole other story. I don't know what to say about that. But Kyron Williams got the job done, 3.5 yards per carry. But they had 2 guys get over 100 receiving yards last night. Tutu Atwell, 6 receptions, 119 yards. Puka Nacua, 10 receptions for 119 yards. He also is the very first rookie wide receiver in his debut game to cross over 100 yards. I believe it's Jamar Chase, if I'm not mistaken. Looked good in that game. We'll see how this can hold for the Rams, but they get the W in week 1. The Packers, my goodness, that streak does not end, does it? They get another win against the Bears. I don't know if the Bears are ever going to get that win against them. And Jordan Love, I know it's week 1. Don't get me mistaken here, and I'm not going to go and say he's going to be the perfect replacement. They're going to go to another third superstar following Brett Favre's era, the Aaron Rodgers era, now the Jordan Love era. But you can't tell me he did not look good yesterday. You can't tell me that he did not look nice. You don't have Christian Watson, your wide receiver 1. He's hurt week 1. But they still go out and score 38 points in that game. And when we talk about him playing, 15 for 27 passing, not the best, but 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 yards in the rushing game. Not too bad. I think Jordan Love looks interesting, intriguing to me. I think he has a chance to be their quarterback of the future, and I don't mind it. He looks legitimate, ready to play. The Dallas Cowboys. Okay, this is the last thing we're going to get into regarding the NFL season week 1. I don't even know how to process what happened in that Sunday night game last night. The New York Giants looked horrible. 0 points. I get the raining conditions. I get what was happening there. But at the end of the day, Dallas found a way to get the job done. And I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, just a one-hit wonder. Daniel Jones is completely done. For the line could not protect him to save his life. It was horrible. But that was not pretty at all. And so it makes me wonder, the Dallas defense is elite. They have a chance to be the best defense in all football. That debate is certainly processable there. That's not something to question there. They have a chance to be the best defense in football. But at the end of the day, holding a team to 0 points and having that bad of a game, I think that has some things to do with the weather a little bit. But still, the Dallas Cowboys, they get the W 40-0 against the Giants. Giants look absolutely horrible. Dallas looks like the best team in all football right now. And that's why I say it's Overreaction Monday, because we're all going to overreact upon week 1. Do I think the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in all football? Do I think they have the best defense ever possibly? I don't know. That's going to be determined. But what looked like last night was a team that was ready to win a Super Bowl, that looked like they were ready to dominate the league, a defense that is undisputably one of the best in all of the world. But that is week 1. So that's a recap from week 1 of the NFL season. There's still one game. We'll get into that on Wednesday's episode. We'll see whatever happens in about 15 minutes from now in the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets game. But there's one last segment that I'm going to get into today. That final segment is regarding the World Cup. I want to go recap the World Cup first of all. And based upon that is the fact of the matter that Germany, they are world champions. Major props, Dennis Schroeder. He wins MVP, and Germany wins the World Cup for basketball. Absolutely phenomenal. They defeat Serbia in that game, 83-77. Major props. The game is growing. Serbia, one heck of a run. I mean, we got to give it up for Serbia because they made it to the championship game of the World Cup without the best player in all the world, and Nikola Jokic. Why do I emphasize that? Because, well, that's impressive, yes. But let's talk about Team USA. Once again, they do not medal in the World Cup. Now, they have won their fair share of Olympics. They have not lost in many, many years in the Olympics. But they have now lost, not medaled. They didn't get first, second, or third in back-to-back World Cups. That is a problem. And a lot of people say, okay, well, this was not our A team. We did not have our superstar players out there. Are you really going to tell me with a straight face that we did not have the most talented roster out there? I get we did not have Kevin Durant. We did not have Steph Curry. We did not have LeBron James. We did not have these guys. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is you're going to tell me that there was a team out there in the World Cup that was more talented than them. Anthony Edwards is an all-star. Tyrese Halliburton is an all-star. Brandon Ingram is an all-star. Jaren Jackson is the defensive player of the year in the NBA, and he is an all-star. Paolo Banchero, he is an all-star in the future. He was the rookie of the year this past season. Austin Reeves is a starter on a team that went to the conference finals this past year. We're going to act like this team was not better, more talented than anyone else? Yeah, sure. We go add in LeBron James, Kevin Durant and company. Are we a better roster? Of course. Don't get that mistaken. But we cannot sit up here and act like this Team USA team went out here and was just so talent depleted compared to every other country. Your whole roster was NBA players. There is no excuse not to win gold. Now, I understand, yes, this team just came together. A lot of these countries are built together for a long-standing period of time, and we've got rosters that come together, and they've been building for a few years to build this roster up. But what we've got right now in Team USA is a country that has lots of talent that should be able to win. I don't care how many years they've been together or whatnot. And they had the talent to win. But you go into Canada, and this is what really bothers me, because this game, for anyone that stayed up and watched it, I was up and watching it. First of all, Mikal Bridges, what a heck of a play there. Absolutely perfectly executed. I don't know if you could execute being down by 4 in under 10 seconds better than what he did in that play. Phenomenal. You go to overtime, but you end up losing 127 to 118 to Canada. And I talked about Canada before. I said they're coming and they're special. They don't have more talent than Team USA has right now or ever. But they win 127 to 118. And for those that watch the game, I will say this, what we don't talk about enough is that, yes, the NBA game and the European international game that you play with the rules for the World Cup is vastly different. The three-point line is different. The shot clock is different. The three-point line is different. The goaltending rule is different. The flow of the game, the style of play is much, much different. It suits a better play style to play the four quarters offense, where you have a big man that you run it through, and so on and so forth. Okay, USA does not have a big man. I'm going to address that in a second. But when you played Canada, we were both playing small ball. It was very close to NBA style games that you could get in EuroLeague basketball. Both teams were playing NBA style guys. They both had teams in there in the stretch parts of the game where the tallest guy out there was 6'7", 6'8". There were guys out there, and that was like Dwight Powell, and even he came out of the game at one point. They were running countless guards and a small ball offense. That was the flow of the game. And they beat us. This was not a situation where they just had this big man like we had against some of these other countries, that their big men just depleted us and destroyed us on the glass, rebounding in the paint. No, that is not what happened in that game. USA straight up lost playing their brand of basketball pretty much against Canada. Dylan Brooks had 39 points on them. And I think Dylan Brooks gets a lot more hate than he deserves. I actually like him as a player. I think he's a legitimate guy. I have no problem with what he does. Maybe he goes a little bit too far at times, but it's his role. It's what gets his money for himself. But he's not better than Mikal Bridges. He's not better than Anthony Edwards. For him to lead the team, lead the entire game with 39 points, Shea played absolutely phenomenal. He showed up and showed out. The entire team looked absolutely special. RJ Barrett had a great game. There's no excuse for Team USA not to win that game and not to medal and get gold in this competition. So what's the problem with Team USA then? A lot of people ask. Well, when we talk about the competition, what I was originally going to say was this. Because when we play these European teams, the fact is that America does not produce the best big men. Can we make this clear right now? Because a lot of people keep looking at the guard and put emphasis on these guards. And the guards are important, but we have the best guards in the country. Every game we play against, we have the best guards. Don't get that twisted. The problem is with the big men. The United States is not producing very good big men. When we look at the list of potential guys that I would consider for the big men spot in the United States, you have Anthony Davis at number 1, but he's not a 7-footer. And he's more of a power forward than I would say a center. You have Bam Adebayo, who's 6'9", can run center, but he's not a big, grinded out, down low, back to the basket big man. You have Evan Mobley, who is a power forward. You have Jarrett Allen, who's a center at 6'10", 6'11", and you have Nick Claxton, who's about 6'11" as well. Those are your best American big men, in my opinion. And then let me say this, Chet Holmgren. The reason I didn't say him in that group originally was because we haven't seen him play in the NBA yet. I think he's going to be in that group. He is the hope for America, let's be honest. He's a 7-footer. He is more than capable of doing that. Not a big guy in terms of back-to-the-basket guy, but he still is a 7-foot big man for Team USA to have. But he was not healthy and whatnot. We don't have the best big men. The best big man in the world is Nikola Jokic. He's the best player in the world, not American. Joel Embiid, the second best big man in the NBA and one of the best players in the world. He's also currently not from the United States. Now, I know he could potentially play for USA. He is a Cameroon citizen that now has also become citizenship in France and the United States. He'll make a decision within the next year. He's not. Karl Anthony Towns, another one of the top big men in all the NBA. He's not playing for America. Go down the list. Guys like Nurkic, not going to play for the NBA. Valanciunas, not from America. I'm sorry, Nurkic, not from the NBA, not from America. A lot of DeAndre Ayton, he's not from America. You go down this list, there's not a lot of big men in the NBA currently. Al Horford, same thing. The list goes on and on. I'm going to stop there for now because we don't have a lot of big men in the NBA. And when we go and play these international competitions, that is the problem. We do not have big men to compete with them. So that was my original stance I was going to take on this situation. But we fast forward now, and we play Canada, and we get beat against other guards. Dwight Powell did not go and cremate the United States. The guards did. Dylan Brooks did. And that's worrisome to me. The United States still has the best talent. Don't get that twisted. But can we all put it together? And are we going to remain the best in the future? I don't know. Because these other countries are emphasizing talent and growth. Canada went from nothing to something real quickly. They turned up real quick. And we talk about next year in the Olympics, Andrew Wiggins, Jamal Murray, Brandon Clark will be on that roster as long as they all decide to officially play on that team. And guess what else? Shaedon Sharpe, I think he could take a jump and become a star player. Guess what? He'll be on from Canada there as well. They're going to have a full roster of NBA guys. Australia is going to be very close to having a full roster of NBA guys. France, if they get Joel Embiid, will be a problem. And talk about big men. Well, guess what? We don't have a 7-footer that can legitimately play right now. Out in France, Joel Embiid, Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert. Yeah, good luck. Nigeria has got legitimate talent. There are lots of countries that are developing talent at a rapid rate right now, and the United States is not one of them in terms of the big men spot. And so we're going to need to figure that out quickly. Because when we look at that game, I think that the only guys that really, really stood out to me, Anthony Edwards was a superstar. He proved that he's legit. I think he should be on the Olympic team next year. Mikal Bridges, good news for Brooklyn Nets fans. He looks legitimate. I think that, like I said, I never was necessarily doubting. It was more so, what is he truly capable of? We only got a glimpse of half a season. He looks legitimate. He has a chance of playing on the Olympic team next year, I believe. Brunson was pretty solid as well. Nothing against him. And Tyrese Haliburton, he stood out to me a lot. Outside of that, I don't know. Austin Reeves was decent. I thought there was a lot of defense lacking there, but he still was solid. We'll have to figure out how that goes because I don't think it's the truth is this. It's no longer going to be the United States walks out and wipes out everyone that they go play against. No, there's so much talent. The game is growing so rapidly that I don't believe that we're going to be in a situation going forward where the United States just has this upper echelons of talent that far surpasses everybody else. Because the United States is now having to compete against countless other countries that have many, many NBA players. And so the Olympics next year will be fantastic. There's only a few more spots available, and over the duration of next year, they said they're going to announce in November the next qualifying tournaments to get the final spots for the Olympics out there in Paris, France. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be special. I cannot wait for it. That's where we get good news, though, because this morning, Shams came out and he talked about the news of what Team USA might look like for next year. And this gets good. This gets really good because we have a roster so far of LeBron James heading it, and he's recruiting Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, who pretty much are going to commit. Draymond Green and Anthony Davis are also likely in the mix. They said that Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, Damian Lillard, and a couple other guys, I believe, are also in consideration or considering playing for the team next year. Now, that team looks special. That team looks legitimate. I would like to see Jimmy Butler possibly come out, Kawhi Leonard. We could see what those guys do. Jason Tatum's the other guy that they said is for sure considering. That team looks very good and very special. What if they don't win next year, though? What if the United States has all these guys come out and play, but they don't win? I talked just a second ago about the big man spot. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, so on and so forth. Oh my goodness, they got talent. But I don't hear the big man name really coming up. Anthony Davis is a power forward / center. Yes, he can do that. He's an elite defensive player. I think he can hold his own. But he has to come out of the game at some point. And if you go up against France, who is guarding Victor Wembanyama, Rudy Gobert, and Joel Embiid if that so be the case? That ain't going to be pretty. When you go out and battle Nikola Jokic, that's going to get interesting. So we will see what happens, but I think it's huge news. We could have a new version of I don't know what we're going to call the team right now. Obviously, we have the Dream Team of 92. We got the Redeem Team. What are we going to call this team? I don't know. But if this team does come together, they have a chance of being spectacular. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. And so we'll have to see what ends up unfolding there. But I do believe that at this point in time, we need to emphasize what's going on with Team USA basketball, get them right, and fix this program. Because right now, Grant Hill did not do too bad of a job. And obviously, the first time I saw Rudy Gay tweet out, we need to bring back tryouts for Team USA. It's what historically they've always done. But we'll see. Is Steve Kerr the right coach for this? I don't know. I heard a rumor that potentially Jay Wright, or a speculation, maybe it was just shouting out, maybe this would work. Jay Wright potentially take over as the head coach. I would like that. Obviously, it worked out fantastic having Coach K out there at the helm of it. With Coach Pop, we didn't do good at all in the World Cup last time around, and then we won the gold medal in the Olympics. So we'll see. Is Steve Kerr the right guy for that job, or do we go turn to a college guy like Jay Wright? Maybe Mark Few. I know he was on the bench. I don't know. We'll have to see what unfolds there. But that's what I got to talk about when we get into this Team USA basketball and what's going on there. I would like to wrap up, though, before we officially head into the ending of the show with the verse of the day one last time. And today's verse of the day reads, John chapter 14, verse 27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. John chapter 14, verse 27, once again, just to reflect and recap that again. The peace that God gives us is a peace that transcends all understanding. It is a peace that can overcome any obstacle, any doubt, any fear, any sorrow, anything that you're going through, regardless of the point in time in which you are going through it. It is greater than, and it will truly give you ultimate peace at that point in time. That is the peace God gives to us. And it is a gift that the world, I do not give to you as the world gives. The world gives, but it is not eternal. It does not last forever. And there usually is a time in which that wears off, right? We talk about if someone gives you a present, right? That present's going to be real nice the first few days, maybe even a little bit longer than that. But eventually there's going to come a time where you forget about that present, or does not have the same emotional impact that it does when you have another gift. The gift that God gives you, though, is a peace that's going to stay with you and be impactful at every aspect and turn point of your life, and ultimately through all eternity. So do not let your hearts be troubled today, folks, and do not be afraid, because God is with you. He is fighting for you. You just need to trust in Jesus Christ and the bloodshed on the cross and what he's giving and done for us, because he is there for us. And there will be sorrow times. There's going to be ups and downs in life. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to sin. We're going to mess up. And there's going to be points where we are troubled, where our hearts are troubled. We're sorry and sorrow and sad, and issues occur. But don't let them be troubled, because you can put your faith and trust in God. He will give you the peace that your heart is longing for. The peace that you don't have to do anything for than just accept him as your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live in that peace. So that is today's verse of the day. Once again, John chapter 14, verse 27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid. John chapter 14, verse 27. Well, folks, let's get out of here. The football game will kick off in 2 minutes now, I believe, unless it was a delay. I saw there might have been a weather delay, actually, of the New York Jets, Buffalo Bills to wrap up week 1 of the NFL season. I appreciate every single person for tuning in today. Truly grateful that Cam came on today and took time to join me in the show today. We will be back on Wednesday. I already got the guest booked for Wednesday. Should be a fun episode. Also, Thursday night will be a later show too. We're going to move it to, I believe it's going to be a 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. I have not locked that in for sure. We have an NBA guy coming on then. I'll discuss that and reveal that to you guys Thursday morning. But when we officially get that locked in due to practice times and getting back with the team, he's got to go later on the day. So we're going to do a later episode on Thursday. I'll talk to you guys more about that on Wednesday. But with that being said, enjoy your guys' Monday. Never forget and always remember what occurred on 9/11 this day 22 years ago. Prayers for everybody that has been impacted and has gone through certain instances regarding that situation. Just never forget that, folks. Well, I thank you guys all for tuning in today. May God bless you guys all, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, God bless you guys.